Welcome, Kerim. Thank you very much for your time, mate. This is the Better People, Better Players podcast, and this podcast is aimed at parents, teachers, students, head teachers, talking about all things youth sport. So I'm really pleased that you're joining me today because I've got to know you over the past year, obviously delivering basketball at my school. So I think we should start by qualifying yourself. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Obviously, you started a player, and now you've got the Hangtime Academy. So over to you.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty funny how it started. You know my brother, Mo, who also coaches with us. Yeah. And when I was younger, I played football. That was my main sport. I was a goalkeeper. I was pretty good at it. I played at a Wessel club too, so I was getting into the pros level.
You didn't tell me this.
No, I didn't.
I've just asked you if it's only basketball, and now you're telling me you're a goalkeeper.
Yes.
Okay, that's I was. Okay. Okay.
Until I was 14. And at that time, my brother was a basketball player.
Yeah.
And me and my brother were so competitive when we were young. So basically what happened is, because I'm the older brother, I'm supposed to win at every single thing. And we played basketball in a 1-on-1, and he beat me. Yeah. And I said, okay, I'm on a 1-month journey of getting better at basketball to just beat him, and then I'm going to quit. Now we're 11 years in counting.
Wait there. You started basketball
at 14.
At 14?
Yes.
So you started basketball at 14, and what level did you reach?
I played college basketball. I was supposed to go to the States on scholarship, and then the COVID came around, so that plan was off. But I did play college here in the UAE.
Okay. And listen, have you ever reflected on then, you know, you've started playing a sport there at 14. How did you become so good? Because obviously college is 18? So you got 4 years there.
Correct.
You maybe got kids who've played this sport since they were 6, 7.
Correct.
What made you stand out then? How did you get so good in 4 years?
Well, for sure there's the hard work, dedication component to it. And I've put in a lot of time because I was a competitive player. I also believe that the idea of having or gaining motoric skills at a young age.
Motoric skills.
Yes.
Okay. We'll see if the subtitles can do that one. Yeah.
If you have those skills at a young age, it transfers to whatever sport. When I was very young, I played a lot of sports, you know, up until I was maybe 9 or 10 years old. And that's when I went into football. But I think that transfers. So, you know, your coordination, your timing, your footwork, all that kind of thing. So that probably helped. And then also going out and playing with better players all the time, getting your butt kicked every single day. And then,
do you know what? It's something that we say, all PE teachers say this, the transferable skills.
Yes.
And play a number of different sports. So just to clarify then, how far down the road were you with football? You're playing at Wessel Club. Was that your only sport, or was there a bit of basketball?
That was my only sport at the time.
Football gung-ho.
Yeah.
And then basketball gung-ho as well?
Well, a year of transition, let's say both. And then I was all in for basketball for about 2.5 years, and then college. And
Hangtime then, tell me about Hangtime, because obviously I come to meet you when I joined my new school. You were the basketball provider there. You're continuing this year as the basketball provider. Fantastic with our kids. I've got to say this. The relationship, I've touched on this before, and I've mentioned it to you. It's so important to me. You've got to get in with the kids. You've got to relate to them. You're working with our senior teams right now, and you've been on the courts this week with them. Tell me about Hangtime. Where did that come from? Was it a natural progression from player to coach to setting up an academy? So let's talk about Hangtime.
Yeah. I started when I was in college volunteering as a coach, and then eventually became a part-time job. And I came to find out throughout that process, working with another academy, that I enjoy teaching the game as much as I enjoy playing it. And so I found myself in coaching a lot more, and slowly progressed with that, really got into that rabbit hole, going on YouTube, going on different resources and trying to learn and develop myself. And eventually I came to the stage where I worked with 2 different academies, and I saw the strengths and weaknesses of things going on in the UAE, and wanted to do things my own way. And that's where Hangtime came about.
You've just said something there that I want to pick up on. I'm slightly older than you. How old are you, Kerim?
Pretty young. I'm 25.
25. So you've started your pathway into coaching. You mentioned YouTube.
Yeah.
So obviously when I started coaching, I think I did my first FA level 1 badge. I was 17.
Right.
We'd do a formal qual. We'd be given a booklet. In fact, I was moving house this week, and we were clearing the house out, and we found all these old coaching books and so on. YouTube then. Talk me through about how you used YouTube to help you benefit as a coach.
So that's funny, because when you're young and you're just starting as a coach, there's loads of resources on YouTube or any other platform. And some of it is good, some of it is not. And you also have to know what to pick and choose and how to use it, right? So it's not just the drill, it's what do you do with the drill? How do you teach the drill?
Yeah.
And I think that makes things slightly more challenging.
Yeah.
You know, I still read a lot of books. I do have a lot of physical resources. I came to understand that down the line, maybe a year or two down the line, when I did my FIBA certification. And that's where I figured, well, not everything that you find online is what you need to use.
Okay.
You need to be selective.
Okay.
So I'm young, but I understand your point of view there.
I'm glad you said that. And look, I wasn't trying to pick holes, and I wasn't trying to trip you up, but you're completely right, I think. And it is something we've used. You know, we've got new staff in. I think about swim. Swim's huge in the UAE. We have a lot of staff who moved from the UK who might not have taught swim. Now, we require all staff qualified, can teach swim. But you'll find so many good exercises and drills for front crawl. But I think also you have to caveat that. You've just got to know what's appropriate for certain age groups, certain ability groups, and so on. Let's talk about the pathway a bit more, about from coach to player.
Okay.
What traits did you have as a player? Because obviously you're a pretty good player. You know, you've reached a good level of college. What traits, what skills did sport give you which helped you flourish in opening a successful academy, which in a crowded market, you know, it's competitive here.
Correct.
What skills did you take from being a player into the world of business?
So this actually translate a lot to better players, better people, and even the philosophy of Hangtime. We always talk at Hangtime that the court is a small version of life. So there are so many things that transfer into life in terms of experiences, in terms of emotions, and how you deal with them. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like, if you fall down, you have to get back up. That's one of the biggest things that I faced when I started my business. We fell and got back up so many times, and it still happens.
Was it the pandemic? Did you open in the pandemic?
We started right before the pandemic.
So then you went through the pandemic?
Yes.
Okay.
We shut down in the pandemic.
That's a big test.
That's a big test.
Okay.
We were back up and running. And we had several other challenges in terms of locations, venues, slowly progressing and growing our academy. Some things even with the office, with the people who I work with, you know, coaches coming and leaving. And so, you know, all those challenges that come down the line, just being like, okay, what's next?
Do you know what? I think actually for parents who are watching and listening, they might not know explicitly what the challenges are. And I've got lots of friends who work in the same industry. I've got sports companies and so on. It's not plain sailing. It's not just that 1 hour on the field at 5 o'clock or 1 hour on the court. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes.
Correct.
You mentioned venues, getting an indoor venue. Again, it's competitive now. There's rates to pay.
Yeah.
What are the main challenges then? For someone who's got a sports company in Dubai now, what are the 3 main challenges you think that maybe parents aren't aware about?
So definitely facilities is a big challenge for sure. That's one. The other thing that I think is standing out because of how competitive the market is. And it's easy to become commercial. It's easy to just sell things to the parents and bring loads of kids on the court. So making decisions between business and real development, real coaching, I think that's one of the hardest things to do in Dubai.
Yeah.
Just because the costs are so high, it's not easy to bring good coaches in unless you pay well. You need a good facility. So all those things cost you a lot of money. And then you want a result out of that, obviously, from 2 sides. So you want a result in terms of development of the kids, and you also want financial return on that. And that's not an easy thing to balance in Dubai, for sure. That's one of the biggest challenges.
It reminds me of a comment a former principal who's doing very well out here now with a certain school group used to always say when I was in the office and we were talking about contracts with external providers was, if education wins, business wins. And I think the point he was making was if we do a good job in saying what we're going to do, whether it be sport or providing academics, then the business side will come.
Absolutely.
Is that something you would follow and agree with,
100%.
In terms of
100%.
success on the court would translate into
100%.
Into the numbers.
100%.
Okay.
That's how it should be.
Let's leave that part for there.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, because we spoke about this when we were in school this week, is the role of parents.
Okay.
And I want to just ask you, can you just give me some examples of students you've had at Hangtime who've went on and done really well in basketball, maybe got a scholarship in the States or joined a club? Tell me about those kids, and then let's get into the parent side of it.
Yeah. So we've had dozens. We have a kid who played for the national team of the Philippines, got to the World Cup. We have maybe 10, 12 kids now who've made it to the States on scholarships too. We have kids who've gone to Europe. We have kids who've represented their countries in the Middle East, GCC area. Two of the most recent kids now, one of them is with Al Nasser Club. We signed him, and he's going to be on the national team. And the other one is currently in the States. He just left about a week ago. He's a Russian kid, also on scholarship.
So you've developed a reputation where high-end youth basketball players are going to you. What do you offer for them then? What does their program look like? Is it a lot more training? Is it just they just slot into what you're currently doing? What provision do you give them?
So funny enough, we don't bring in kids as in, hey, you're talented, come over to our academy. We hate that concept, what we call poaching, academy poaching or player poaching. We don't do that. All of our kids have been with us from day one. So the kid that's now in the States, the Russian kid, he's the first time he picked up a basketball was 2020 with us 5 years ago. He was a rugby player.
Okay.
And, I picked him up from the street, basically.
Yeah.
And every other kid is like that. So what we do is we give a lot more than just the coaching of 2 or 3 times a week. We are mentoring our kids. I empower all of our coaches in the academy to have a personal relation with all of our players. We take them out for lunch, for dinner. We do extra things on the side. And now having the facility at your school pretty much 7 days a week is what's really helping us to take that to the next level.
Okay. You're creating a club feel.
Yes.
So tell me about the parents then. Let's get into that because we've had some conversations about parent input.
For sure.
What do the parents look like of the kids who go on to be successful? What would be the general comment you would say about the parents of those kids who do well?
First, they have to be supportive of the idea of sports. Unfortunately, we see a lot of parents who are just like, hey, you need to be focused on your studies, which I'm not against. They have to focus on their studies, and it's called student athlete. Student comes before athlete. But as a parent, you also have to promote and encourage your child to be a hardworking, dedicated player if he's going to be successful. So that's the first thing. Then the second thing is you're a parent, you're not a coach. There's a difference, right? So when parents interfere too much in practices, in games, and they jump in too much, it confuses the player between what the coach is saying and what the parent is saying. And obviously the coach knows better. And so you're really holding your child back.
Do you allow that? Is there a clear line? How do you manage that? Is it just a clear line, parents, no comments?
We do a lot of workshops with our parents almost on a monthly basis.
Okay.
We invite parents and we talk about parenting student athletes, how that should be done.
Okay.
And that's a very different thing than parenting a regular student.
Yeah.
Right? So that's one of the things that we talk about in terms of how you interfere. The biggest thing is that we say is you come and watch a game to watch it. And if a kid is looking at you to look at your reaction, it's just a thumbs up or a smile. Right? At the end of the game, if they ask you, I always say that the best thing you can tell them is, I love watching you play.
Yeah.
And if you're going to say something else, it could be similar to when you see someone after a while, if you haven't seen them for a week or two, and it looks like maybe they've lost a little bit of weight, and you say, hey, it looks like you lost a little bit of weight, and it just makes them happy, right? And if you say that to your kid when you come once or twice a month to watch them play and say, hey, it looks like you're improving a lot. I saw you today. You're playing better. That's all you got to say. You don't have to coach them and, on this possession you did this and that, and you don't even know what's going on in practice with the team. You don't know what the coach is planning for your child. So that's where the thin line comes between supporting and between, coaching.
I think we're going to keep having to repeat this message. Everyone who's sat down on this podcast, who's coached, has said the same thing about parents just crossing that line.
Yeah.
And stepping into the area where the coach has to do their job.
Yeah.
So just to clarify, the kids who've done well, is it possible to summarize what their parent behavior was like, where they just, the supportive, stand back, let the coach do the coach?
Absolutely. Okay. They're on the sidelines, supporting them, cheering for them. After the game, we get a win or a loss, they give them a hug. They're, but there's never that interference of hey, you're doing this right or that wrong. A lot of them actually, one thing where they get a little bit more involved is they come to the coach and ask, what can we do to make him or her better?
Yeah.
Right? And then the coach is the one that's recommending what are the next steps.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where do you sit with the importance of winning? How important is it winning? Because obviously you've grown a really strong brand, a good academy.
Yeah.
You've got history of, I think it's fantastic that you've took a kid brand new to the sport, out of rugby, into a professional setup.
Yep.
That proves that what you're delivering, the curriculum, the program, what the coaches are doing with them works. So where do you sit on this idea of winning in youth sport? How important is it that your teams, when they play on a weekend, they get that win?
Okay, so this is where I think it becomes a little bit controversial, right? I think winning is very, very important for players, not for coaches. Here's what I mean. If we're saying that we're creating better players, better people, if we're saying that the basketball court in our case is a small simulation of life, there is winning and losing in life. So winning is important. They gotta want to win. They gotta want to go out in life and win and be successful. We have to encourage winning. The idea is that as a coach, you gotta understand what is winning, right? Winning at youth sports is not the score at the end of the game for you as a coach. It is seeing that kid in 5 years going to the States or representing their national team or going professional. That's the win for the coach. However, for a kid that's 10, 12 years old, they don't understand that. What they do understand is the scoreboard. And so I'm not against us as coaches, especially if the team is capable of winning a game, to go in there with the mindset that, hey, we're supposed to win this game. We're supposed to have more points on the board at the end of the game. That's just how it is. And when they lose, it's a lesson that we lose sometimes. We get back up. It's okay. It's not the end of the world.
We learn.
We learn. Yeah. You know? And but then again, that's where coaches make the mistake in youth between saying, hey, we're going out to win and we're going out to win at all costs. And that's the difference. Where they start to cheat sometimes with certain rules, bringing in kids that are a little bit older or playing around. In basketball, we have certain rules like no zone, no full court press, whatever, and they start to, jump around and try to do anything to win a game in the under 10s or under 12s because they want to fill their ego and say, I won a game or a championship. That doesn't matter. What matters is for the kids, not for the coach.
Do you come up against other academies then have a different philosophy? I'm sure you do. I'm sure that's just natural, isn't it?
It is.
And how do you manage the parents side of that? This is something as a director of sport, I always try to put myself in the parents' shoes and try to imagine what that parent's school sport looks like.
Right.
And I think that has a big impact on their opinion of school sport. If you've got a parent who's went to a high-level performing, let's say UK independent school, their school program looks very different to maybe the state sector or certainly a UAE school.
Right.
So when I'm having conversations with parents, I'll always try and think about potentially what they have an opinion of in terms of youth sport. How do you manage that then? And you mentioned the workshops, which I think are brilliant.
Yes.
But you must have parents who value the win.
Yes.
And is that just an educational piece that you need to get in front of them then and just explain your values?
So again, that's where the business and the coaching doesn't, they don't connect.
Let's talk about that. Just don't move on because that is Dubai.
Okay.
That is Dubai. And I don't want to badmouth youth sport. I've got to be very careful here because I think sport here is incredible.
Absolutely.
It just is incredible. The opportunities kids get is incredible. But it goes without saying, in a fee-paying environment, it's pay to play. It just is. There's this idea that the winning, they're a better academy. Would you? That's a fair comment, isn't it? And that happens. It certainly happens in the football. Probably happens in the basketball, and it probably filters into other sports as well.
Absolutely.
And that's unfortunate because there'll be a lot of coaches doing fantastic things with their kids who aren't ready. Could be physically, they haven't gelled as a team. It could just be the cohort they've got in. Might not get the win, and then that would reflect poorly on the coach. How do you manage that? And would you agree with that? Do you think that's
I agree
Dubai?
100%. That is Dubai. That's what they promote. I've seen academies in basketball that you open their Instagram and the first thing they're promoting is how many championships they win, or that we build champions, or we've won 77 million games, or which doesn't really matter. But yeah, that's how you sell it to the parents. That's how you sell it to the kids. That's 100% how it is.
Do you have to play the game, Kerim? Do you think you have to play the game? You have to celebrate your wins?
Sometimes you do.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do. What I think of is that you do to bring people into the door sometimes.
Yeah.
Because they ask you those questions. But once they come in and they see the culture that we have and the way that we do things, they understand that it's a lot bigger than just the win at the end of 40 minutes of a game. And those workshops that we spoke about with parents is what really is a game changer. And they're either hopping on the bus or off the bus.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of kids that come in month, 2 months, 3 months, and then they walk out. Hey, this is not for me, because they're really chasing the win. And we're constantly preaching that, yeah, if we can win, we will win.
Yeah.
But if we can't, it's okay. 3 years, 4 years, 5 years down the line, we are going to be true winners. The biggest example of this was last year. We had 2 under-16 teams, and we were playing in one of the competitive leagues in the country. And those teams, all those kids have been with us for years, and they've never won a championship before, right? But then those 2 teams ended up going in and winning the first division and the second division championships. And it was a big thing, because it's like Hangtime is winning all the under-16 championships, right? But those kids have been patient. Their parents have understood the process, and they've waited for 4 or 5 years until, they get the fruit.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Let's go back then. I'm interested. We align.
Yeah.
In terms of philosophy, I love it when you pop into the office after you've done your session and we have a catch up, or I'll come and watch your coach. And I've seen you live and breathe the philosophy as well, in terms of developing the person. And you do that through relating to them. You do that through pushing them and making sure they're working hard and all those soft skills. Let's go back to, you mentioned when you played and the philosophy in terms of better players, better people. Mm-hmm. How do you instill those values now? What do you do? What's it look like? Let's make it real simple for parents. What's it look like in a session if you were to develop the soft skills? So you're trying to develop the person. What does that look like in a session? Because parents would just see a pass and drill, a dribble and drill. Let's signpost it for them. How are you developing the person in a basketball session?
We have 2 curriculums that are completely separate. One is a basketball curriculum, and one is a classroom curriculum, you can call it. The basketball curriculum, depending on the level and the skill, the age, we have different things going on. But the classroom is a fundamental piece, and it happens every single practice. Depending on the coach and how he likes to run his session, it would be at the start or at the end. Personally, I like to do it at the end. But yeah, it's usually 5 to 10 minutes. And we have different topics that we discuss with the team. Most of the time, we have some inspirational stories to kind of tie it in, whether it's a player or it's a personal story from my life or anybody else's life, and we tie it to a life lesson. And so many times, we're able to tie that to a game that we played last week, or a tournament that happened, or whatever the case may be, and those lessons tie in. Now, the older ages also have another piece to their curriculum, which is what we call the culture book. And that's given to every kid at the start of the season. It's about 10 pages that they read and they sign, that they agree and they will follow this sort of culture in the academy. And a lot of those life values are in that book too. So they go through that every single year.
That's really cool. I don't think I've heard of that before. Where did that come from? Where did you get the idea for that? Was that something you had when you were playing?
No. I came up with it as a coach.
A culture book.
Culture book.
Okay.
I got to give you one.
I have to write that down. Yeah.
No, I'm going to give you one. You got to read it.
Yeah. Just checking time. 6 minutes?
Okay.
Right, let's have a little breather. We can cut this. Where should we go? 6 minutes.
6 minutes. Are players overcoached?
We could do that.
Yeah.
I've asked this for everyone that's been on. I think you've noted that when you've watched the podcast.
Yeah.
Are players overcoached?
No.
No?
No.
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
You'd have to explain the answer then.
Well, look, the world has changed so much. It's 2025. Okay. When kids were younger, or sorry, not when kids were younger. Let's go back, 20
But
years.
you're already 25. Are you going to start
I'm 25.
telling me different generations?
Yeah.
Okay, go on then.
Well, kids in the 90s.
We'll see where it goes. Go on.
Yeah. Kids in the 90s were outside.
Kids in the 90s. Well, you were born.
2000s. Even my generation, when I was 10, 12 years old, we were outside a lot more than kids are today.
Yeah, okay.
Right?
Go on.
So when kids were outside all the time,
Yeah.
they didn't necessarily need a coach because they're outside on the court on their own learning sports.
Yeah.
Getting their butt kicked by somebody who plays better than them.
You did ask me if you could say that. You can say butt kick.
Yes, I can say butt kicks, right?
I'll allow that.
Yeah, I like that word. But today, if you don't enroll your kids in sports, they're not going outside, are they?
It's harsh, isn't it?
It's hard.
I've got 2 little ones, and that's harsh for me to listen to,
But it is. Parents today, there was a picture that I saw a while back on Instagram where it was like the parent dragging their kids at night from outside into the house. And now it's the opposite. The parent is dragging them from inside the house to outside to go outside and play. I get what you mean by the idea of overcoached, as in there is too much structured stuff.
Yeah.
And I do believe that coaches have to strike a balance between coaching drills, block training, what we call.
Yeah.
It's very structured, in between just letting them play.
Yeah.
We talk about this in coaching all the time with our staff. Hey, sometimes you got to sit down and just let them play for 30 minutes. Whatever the situation is, 2-on-2, 3-on-3, small-sided games, and don't interfere. Let them make decisions. Let them learn from their mistakes. They lack that for sure. The unstructured kind of sports. But structured is better than nothing. That's where I go with it.
Yeah. And I toil with this. I don't know what my opinion is. I'm not going to sit on the fence. I don't know if I fully agree that kids aren't outside. The community I live in, there's actually kids from my school that use the basketball court sometimes till 9 at night, and I'm walking past, maybe going to the shop, thinking probably should be in bed, but they're on the court. There is kids getting outside. I think every generation will always look back at the generation when they were younger and say, oh, back when I was younger, we were outside climbing trees. You have got the influx of devices now, and the electric scooters annoys me. I wish kids would just walk or run somewhere. But,
or use a bicycle.
Yeah, you're right. And I think it's good to hear that coaches are aware of that, and good coaches are. So for parents who are watching and listening, when I always say this, and I think it's so important that parents understand, if they pay for a session and the coach is quiet and the kids are playing and they're making decisions, and by the way, they're making wrong decisions as well. They're falling over, they're failing, it's fine.
Yes.
Because it might, they don't need to jump in, or they don't need to send an email, that wasn't what we paid for, etc. That's important because it's play, isn't it? Absolutely. And you're right, the you know, where we're living now, it's pay to play. If they're not doing that, are they getting outside? So.
No, I agree. And the coach sitting on the sideline not speaking doesn't mean that, you know, they're not coaching.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? And sometimes the other part to it is, after a while, you stop the practice and you ask the players what went right and what went wrong, what could be done better, because they're learning from their experiences. You don't have to always teach them. But yeah, parents a lot of times don't see that.
Kerim, you make a good teacher. Let's finish on this, because I did want to say it on the podcast.
Okay.
You called me coach for 18 months, and for 18 months I had to correct you and say it's Mr. Bedford, Kerim. But I don't mind. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
I've really enjoyed that. I think the points you've made have been excellent. Hopefully parents listen and appreciate the points of view that you've got from someone who looks after quite a successful basketball academy. And hopefully maybe we can do this again in the future.
I can't ever think of being a PE teacher. I don't know how you do it. No. So I'm just going to call you Mr. Bedford from now on and not make that mistake. And just call me Coach. I'm not becoming Mr. Kerim.
I appreciate that, Coach.
Thank you.
Kerim, thanks so much, mate.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.